There's been a countdown underway in Nashville to a bittersweet Last Supper. A beloved East Nashville institution, Margot Cafe Bar, is closing after a quarter century. The proprietor and chef, Margot McCormack, has impeccable culinary credentials. But her earliest foray into food was corn dogs and cold drinks.
I worked at the snack bar at Westmead Swim Club. That was my first real cooking gig. Over the summers, like cooking frozen burgers, dropping fries, giving wet kids ice cream bars.
Did they have hot dogs on the roller or just
We did,
boiled?
I think we had corn dogs.
Oh.
And that food was good, really, shockingly good. But yeah, Bennigan's was my first job in college. I wanted to live off campus. And my mother said, not on my dime. So you go out and you get a job if you want to live off campus. And I think she thought I wouldn't do it. But I did. And I went to a restaurant because I thought, okay, that's something I enjoy. I'll go there. Cooking with mom and cooking in a restaurant are two totally different things. I learned really quickly. And I really didn't like the restaurant for about 3 months. I had to weigh lettuce and wash greens and then put together this salad that had 3 green pepper rings and 2 red onion rings, and and then you put them in the plastic and you put them in the cooler for the servers to take them, because back in the day, everybody got a salad with their meal. But I don't give Bennigan's a hard time. I learned a lot there about the mechanics of the business. And sort of some of the foundational principles, how to order, how to do inventory. So it was a good experience for me.
Margot's faithful customers aren't taking any chances. The place is booked solid till closing day. And for those who need more, there will be something else in store. When and what is TBA. I'm Demetria Kaladimos. It's Banner & Company. Margot, I know you're the busiest woman in Nashville now, so thank you for making time for us.
Oh, you're very welcome, of course.
In my house, we always got to pick our birthday dinners. Mm-hmm. What was your favorite, or did you have that tradition also in your home?
We did. My mother was such a wonderful cook that I never really picked out one thing for dinner. I was happy to eat any of her cooking. My cake, though, was always a peanut butter cake. And this was something that she had made up for one of her cousin's kids. And it was just really simple. Betty Crocker cake mix. She didn't make it from scratch. That was one of the only things she didn't make from scratch. And then she made this incredible peanut butter frosting. And I loved peanut butter. I ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches forever. In fact, we were just talking about how I went to Brookmead Elementary, where the lunch ladies cooked real food for us for lunch, and it was delicious. And Mrs. Vincent was the head lunch lady, and they made these things called peanut butter bars. And it was like a peanut butter brownie, but it had this creamy peanut butter layer on top. And I begged my mother, I'm like, Mom, please, please, please ask Mrs. Vincent to give you this recipe, because I love it. And she did. And she had to break down the recipe for 400 people to, a little, 40 or who knows. But so peanut butter was always my jam. And that was my cake every year.
How did your mom learn how to cook?
My mom was born in 1925, where, you just knew how to cook. You learned from your mother, and she was a Quaker. She came from, the Dutch country, and her mother cooked. They had 5 kids. Her grandfather lived with them. And, I don't think there were a lot of restaurants in 1925, 1930 that you just took all your kids out. And so she learned from her mother.
Was she a write things down person, or was she like my mom who left very few recipes but only good memories?
She didn't write anything down. She had some books that she accessed for specific things, that some of which have gone by the wayside, and I'm so gutted by that. But she would reference the spritz cookies that she would make every year. But the things that she did on the daily, a pot roast, roast chicken, things like that, no. Now, she did get crazy later on in life, and she always thought she needed to lose 10 or 20 pounds, like we all do. And she joined Weight Watchers, and she brought home this recipe for pizza fish. And, back
I'm scared.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like 1976. So what do we have here in the grocery store? Frozen whiting. So that's the fish we have. It's some frozen white fish. And she puts this canned tomato sauce and olives and some cheese, which to me, cheese and fish don't go together. I don't even care.
I'm with you.
But she put it down in front of, and I was a great eater. My brother was picky, so picky. And I was like, Mom, I don't think I can eat this. And she goes, you are eating this because, she's trying to lose weight. She's trying to stay on this program. She needs the support of her family. But I'm like, I can't eat it, Mom. And I ate some, and it made me sick. And then she just threw it all in the garbage can, and we had cereal for dinner, I think, that night. But so she sticks to the straight and narrow most of the time. No more pizza fish.
I know that your first official food job was Bennigan's, right?
Actually, yes, official. But I also worked at the snack bar at Westmead Swim Club. That was my first real cooking gig over the summers, like cooking frozen burgers, dropping fries, giving wet kids ice cream bars.
Yep, my brother had a similar job, and he would never give a kid a Slurpee or a popsicle if they said they wanted blue. He'd say, "But what flavor is blue?"
It's blue.
Oh, he was terrible.
Yeah, no, but
did they have hot dogs on the roller or just boiled?
I think we had corn dogs.
Ah.
And that food was good, really, shockingly good. But yeah, Bennigan's was my first job in college. I wanted to live off campus. And my mother said, not on my dime. So you go out and you get a job if you want to live off campus. And I think she thought I wouldn't do it. But I did. And I went to a restaurant because I thought, okay, that's something I enjoy. I'll go there. Cooking with Mom and cooking in a restaurant are two totally different things. I learned really quickly. And I really didn't like the restaurant for about 3 months. I had a lot to learn, and it was a lot of rudeness, a lot of hurry, shortness. And Bennigan's was they get their food from a commissary in Houston. So there wasn't a lot of making the food. There was a lot of heating the bean dip for 9 minutes on high in the microwave.
And assembling the rest,
Assembling.
Right?
And I remember that I started out in the pantry where all girls start out. And I had to weigh lettuce and wash greens and then put together this salad that had 3 green pepper rings and 2 red onion rings. And, and then you put them in the plastic and you put them in the cooler for the servers to take them because back in the day, everybody got a salad with their meal. And I eventually moved up the line and enjoyed it when I got to do the real cooking. But I don't give Bennigan's a hard time. I learned a lot there about the mechanics of the business and sort of some of the foundational principles, how to order, how to do inventory. So it was a good experience for me.
You got creative, though, at Faison's. I don't think you can overstate how important Jody Faison's place was.
You cannot. Nor the fact of his magnetism and charisma and charm. I just was in love with him. And
did you know his mom, Lois?
I did. I met her, yes. And his brother and his wife and his, ex-wife and his kids. I walked into Faison's. I wanted to be, actually, this is a good story for you. I went to the Banner. I graduated with a creative writing degree. And I went to the Banner looking for a job. And no offense, but it just didn't seem like it was going to be me. And I was like, no, I don't think that's what I want to do. And it certainly wasn't going to pay me very well. And it's funny that in 1986, $8 an hour working in a restaurant was a lot of money. And then, so I went to the Banner, and I wanted to go to New York. I wanted to write the next great American novel. I was going to save up all my money and then go. So I got a job. I hated it. ended up at Faison somehow working in the daytime for $4 an hour, lunchtime. And then 2 weeks later, Jody took me outside and said, "Hey, I'm making you the chef." And I was like, "What?" But he had this guy who called himself a chef. He was super into Nouvelle cuisine. And he was what I know now as a standard issue musician. So he was doing that until he could, break out. And it was a very musical place. We were right there near Music Row, all the famous country music people, writers, and the whole staff was like a budding songwriter or singer or something, except for me. I was a chef. And one day I walked out into the dining room, and I thought, this is really kind of what I want. I had gone to Faison's years before that and thought how sweet this restaurant was. Before the patio got glommed on the front, it was just a house and it had a porch, and it just felt real.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what I was doing, so Jody got me all these books, and he gave me one about Alice Waters. And I was like, oh my God, there's a woman in this business doing this in a house. I was like, I'm done. That's it. I'm ready. And he said, if you really want to pursue this, you need to get out of Nashville. You need to go to school. And he got me in touch with the Southern Restaurant Association. I got a scholarship to start, and then I had to, find ways. Because I was like, I have graduated. I don't want to go back to school. And he was like, no, you have to get more well-rounded. You have to have, some depth. And he goes, I can't give that to you. It's not here. But he gave me, this creativity and this vibe, and the way he took care of people, I liked it.
So you left here for the CIA, and I don't mean espionage.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because when I announced to people back in 1987 that I was going to go to the CIA, they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, the Culinary Institute of America. And they're like, are you serious? There's a place where you go and learn how to cook? And I'm like, yeah. And they were like, don't you learn how to do that from your mother? And I go, well, I did, but, professionally, you need a little bit more maybe. So CIA bound. I spent 2.5 years there, and then moved down to New York.
Was it worth it? Was it the credential, or was it just doing the time and being concentrated as a cook?
I think it gets you into doors, when you have a diploma, or you say, but it's just like anywhere else. You can have a bad CIA chef. You can have somebody that graduates from Vanderbilt that's not very good. You can have somebody from UT that's great. So it doesn't, it's not a given that you're going to walk out and be a great chef, but it does get you into doors. And I don't know, I had to pay the money on my dime. And so I was very serious about when I was there. And I gave it 110%. And I learned a lot. And I came back to Nashville to do my externship at Faison's. So I came back and I was like, Jody, we should implement this whole beef program and he was like, we can't do that. So you see right away what works and what doesn't work, in your field. But I think it was worth it.
What was the best thing you learned?
Oh gosh. I don't know. That's a great question. I think history, I think appreciation from where everything came from.
I renovated an old gas station, which we're sitting in right now, and I know you did too. My building was a total wreck, but I think you had me beat, because wasn't there no roof or a gaping hole in the roof?
Gaping hole in the roof and half a staircase and boarded up windows and doors. Just a mess. Just a big old mess.
So what spoke to you?
Well, many things. When I moved back to Nashville, I started working at F. Scott's in Green Hills. And I grew up in Westmead, and I was like, man, I'm running this same little 10-mile radius, and I don't want that. And at the time, there was a competitiveness in Nashville that was kind of bordered on the mean-spiritedness, like, oh, if you don't have a chicken Caesar salad on your menu, you're going to fail. Somebody told me that, and I was like, well, I don't want a chicken Caesar salad on every single one of my menus. So I know it's a good salad and whatever, but there's more. There's more to food than chicken Caesar salad. And I wanted to be away from all that. I wanted to be away from the noise. I wanted my restaurant to be more urban. I had been at a restaurant in New York for several years in the East Village, and where I kind of started doing what I do at the restaurant now, which is a daily changing menu, because we had this neighborhood, in our hands. And I was like, hey, let's not do the same menu every day. Don't we want to get these guys to come down for dinner every night? Mm-hmm. I don't want to eat the same thing for dinner every night. So we did this daily changing menu. We had the farmer's market right up in Union Square. And we had all the people with the cheese shop and the croissants and the bread. And it was so much fun. And so I had gotten into my mind that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted a combination of that restaurant and Faison's together. So that's kind of what Margot is. And so that needed to have urban, gritty, and I guess really probably more than all of that combined is money. I didn't have a lot of money, and I found this. Well, my very first sous chef, Etienne Janko, she actually found the building, and I looked at it, and March Edgerton was the owner, and we met, and he went to Hillsborough. He's around about the same age as I am. His dad was a famous food writer. His mom was a book appraiser, something. Fabulous people. And he gave me a hard time. He was like, well, who are you? And what do you want to do? And he goes, I kind of thought we'd put a Mexican restaurant in here. And I'm like, okay, well, no, that's not what I want to do. And so I had to convince him that I was the good tenant. And I'm like, I've been at his dad actually had to pitch for me. And then we got the building. And he started helping us with the roof and, the things that the landlord helps with, which is the basics. And then we started building out what would be the restaurant.
Changing the menu every day, though, gosh, isn't that a crapshoot?
Sometimes it is, Demetria. Sometimes it is. But the cool thing, if there is a cool thing about COVID, it's that I've learned I can't fight Mother Nature. And I can't fight tariffs or traffic downtown that has kept my truck from getting to me. And so sometimes we just have to let go of all the, the button-up restaurant kind of stuff and say, hey, I'm sorry, we don't have that tonight. Or the fish came in and it's not as good as I want it to be. And I have to say, no, I don't want that fish. And if you can't get me another fish, then we're just not going to have fish tonight. Mm. And so that wins a lot. And then I also deal with a lot of very small farmers. So they might have this very small container of turnips or kohlrabi, the very first little couple of ones. And they know they can bring it to me because in one night I can use that. Now, if I had the same menu every night, I'd be like, that's not going to get me very far.
Right, right.
But I can make the menu, change it, and move on.
And I think I read somewhere that it took a grand total of $150,000 to start Margot. That is inconceivable now, isn't it?
Yes, it's, and I feel like I don't want to say this in a weird way, but I'm nobody. I was nobody. I didn't work for a big name chef. I didn't go on top. I'm just a little hometown girl who likes to cook and wants to have a job in her own restaurant. And nobody's going to throw down $1 million to me. People aren't going to run around and invest in me. But I had this confidence and naivete. I think it was 50-50 sometimes. It just depended. That I was going to do this and that it was going to work. And I look back on that now and go, wow, man, I wish I was that confident now. And or done, I don't know. It remains to be seen. But yeah, it's been very successful, but who knew? Who knew?
It's Banner and Company. I'm Demetria Kaladimos, and we'll be right back.
The right window treatments change everything. Your sleep, your privacy, the way every room looks and feels. At Blinds.com, we've spent 30 years making it surprisingly simple to get exactly what your home needs. We've covered over 25 million windows and have 50,000 five-star reviews to prove we deliver. Whether you DIY it or want a pro to handle everything from measure to install, we have you covered. Real design professionals, free samples, zero pressure. Right now, get up to 45% off with minimum purchase, plus get a free professional measure at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.
When did you know this is catching on? I guess when the place is full every night.
Kay West, she's my hero.
Love her.
Because she wrote about us for months before we opened. And she was planting the seeds all over. And we had a lot going. The stadium was being built or was built. So we had kind of a point of reference for people, because much of the rest of Nashville had no idea where East Nashville was. Yeah. So we're like, hey, you know where the stadium is? Yeah, okay, well, we're right down the street. But on opening night, we didn't have phones back in the day, smartphones. So we couldn't just put on social media that we were opening.
Right.
We had to call everybody. And my mother was calling all her friends, and I'm like, okay, we're up to 120. I think that's enough. Stop calling people. And I was like, I don't want to have to tell your boss that he can't come to dinner tonight. So very first night, 120 guests. And I was like, oh my God. Because little old me thought, if I can find 50 people a night that come in and have dinner, that's going to be great. Well, we also benefited from the fact that restaurants weren't opening every other day. Right. Or 5 in a day like they have been in some places. We rode that wave of success for probably 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. And we were just every night, busy, busy, busy. So we knew, okay, we got something. And then we started to develop it. We opened for brunch. Then brunch got, overwhelming. And then we opened Marché. And we just clipped along like crazy.
What was night number one's menu? Do you even recall?
Oh yeah, of course I do. Yeah, it was a maybe a little toolbox of fun, great recipes that I had over the years. And I said, these are all crowd pleasers. These are all things that people are going to love, and that's what we're going to do. And my very first sous chef, daytime sous chef, Oscar Fontana, he gave me a copy, he framed a copy of the menu. And it hangs upstairs, and so I make everybody look at it all the time. And every year on our anniversary, we do that same menu over again. But we kind of, tweak it. But the very first night's menu, we had soft shell crabs, which nowadays we can hardly see. They're so expensive, they're almost cost prohibitive. We have veal scallopini. And you can see that the weather was different, because I would never dream of serving veal scallopini with polenta on June 5th if it weren't a little chilly outside. Like maybe tonight, but when June 5th comes around, there will be no polenta on that veal. I guarantee it. Unless we have another cold snap. We had a flourless chocolate cake. We had sabayon and strawberries and coffee ice cream, which is my favorite. We had raspberry sorbet, because everybody loves raspberry sorbet. We had this chicken dish, which is really weird. We've had to redo that one a little bit. It had feta and almonds, and I can't remember the other little. We had tuna steak, and did we have a ribeye? Might have had a ribeye, because that's my favorite steak too. And we had a pasta. We had pasta with white clam sauce, because white clam sauce was one of the very first things I tried to make that was terrible. It was awful. I did not, and this was years ago, not at the restaurant.
Yeah.
I had to, redo, but awful, pasty, flour, terrible. I've got it now, though.
You nailed it.
I got it now.
Yeah. When did you decide, okay, enough?
Well, from the beginning, it goes back to Chez Panisse. Somewhere around the time we were opening, she was celebrating 25 years. And I was like, oh, that's a nice milestone. I think I'll shoot for that. Again, just crazy naive. I mean, we signed, after our first 3-year lease term was up with March, we signed on for another like 10 years. That's weird. People don't do that. But I was like convinced, I was like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to do the whole rest of my life. This is not, I'm not selling this in a few years. I'm not, whatever. Anyway, so I thought 25 years was going to be good, and I calculated I'll be 62 and this and that. And so we just kind of went on with that. And I didn't even think about it, really. I just get up every morning, think about food, go to work, cook, have fun, go home. I had a business partner there for a while, many years, and we never talked about the end or changes or anything like that. And then one year, and I think it was 2017, he came and he said, I don't want to play restaurant anymore. And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting divorced and I don't even know what happened. And he was the business guy, and he did the wines, and I think his job was a little less, fun, and definitely less fun than playing with the food. And he's gone on, he's having a great life and has 3 kids, and he's a gentleman farmer out on his property. And but then I was like, oh, okay, now it's just me. And which I wanted it to be from the very beginning anyway. I was like, I never thought about having a partner, but he was a great partner. So I was like, then I got used to him, and I was like, oh, I miss you. But then I had to figure out the business all by myself. I mean, with my wife, Heather, thank God, and my staff. But I was like, woo, this is weird. Well, and then I bought the building. March sold me the building around about the same time. So I bit these 2 bullets at once.
Yeah, but that had to be a game changer, knowing that you owned, the location.
Well, he came to me first and said, I've got a buyer for your property. And I was like, what? No. And he's like, he just wants somewhere to put his money. He's not going to bother you, blah, blah, blah. And then he comes back and says, well, the deal fell through, so do you want to buy it? And I said, yes. I realized in those couple of months that had gone by that I needed to do that. So then it was really COVID that took the stuffing out of us. And these last 5 years, or now 6, were harder than the first 20 put together. And, I'm that much older. I've got a kid. Yeah, it was just tough. It was just really, really tough. And we held on by our fingertips. We didn't know if we were going to survive COVID. So we came out of it on the other side. But, man, I mean, it took a lot of effort to keep us afloat. And it was just such a stressful time, and it hurt. It hurt my heart. It hurt everything. But people were great. They supported us. We had a drive-through window. We had, we did the whole okay, let's take tables out. Let's build this patio out here. Our whole driveway was full of tables. So we did pivot. One of my least favorite words now in the language. And we survived. And then, the political situation in not only in Nashville, but in the world, in the United States, has really also been a really dark cloud. Donald Trump has been a very, very dark cloud for us. And our guests, the people that work for us, it's been really hard to, get over. It's really hard to come to work every day and not think, what is happening. I've got a kitchen full of Hispanic dishwashers that are afraid to come to work, that don't want to leave the building when they get there, and that are golden. I love these people. They've been with me for years, and it pains me to see them in such distress. I am a lesbian. I'm married. I have a child. I want the state of Tennessee to recognize my marriage. It does not. I don't want my child to be taken away from me. We don't know that he won't be. There are all these things these conspiracy theories and the dark web and the people who get really crazy, and I'm like, no. This is the United States. This isn't happening, and it's happening. So my wife is she's always kind of I'm on the happy-go-lucky, and she's on the, honey, we need to pay attention to this side. And so we sort of balance somewhere in the middle usually. But I don't think she's wrong. I don't think she's wrong to be concerned. And so one of the things in retiring is like, yeah, we want to have our money. We want to be ready to go if we need to go, wherever that is. We have people every day, friends every day, who are leaving the city and moving because they have trans kids or they don't agree with the politics. And I want to stay and fight because I feel like it's I grew up here. I own East Nashville. That's my place. But it's getting scary, really. And I want to have a home for people. Like, people are like, where are we going to go?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know where and I throw out some ideas, and they're like, they're not like you. They're not like you. And I go, well, so I don't know the answer for them.
I think a lot of people could sit in that chair and articulate exactly the same feeling right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's Banner and Company, and my guest is chef and restaurateur Margot McCormack, who after 25 years is closing a long chapter of nourishing Nashville. We'll be right back. Nashville's changed an awful lot. Has the Nashville palate and appetite changed as well?
I am so proud of us. I really, really am. When I came in 95, came back in 95. Well, okay, Faison's was, you ordered your food, but a lot of the side items would be on a steam table, your rice or the vegetables or whatever, and every dish came with the same vegetables, and you get to pick like a potato or rice, I don't remember. But I was impressed with ourselves back in the day even, but when I came to 95, no one changed their menu at all, not even seasonally. So I convinced my bosses at F. Scott's let's do a seasonal menu at least. At least let's start cooking seasonally. And I started looking for farmers, and it was hard. We had people in the dining room who insisted on having tomatoes on their salad in December. And I'm like, I'm not buying tomatoes. And they would go out and buy, behind my back, they would buy tomatoes for these people, just for those people. Because that's what the restaurant business was about at that point, was just like, let's placate, let's not hold firm to the vision that we have or whatever. But so I started there, and people really seemed to kind of dig it. And I was like, all right, we're making progress. And so that when we got over here to East Nashville, I was very confident that we could change the menu every day. And I sourced these local farmers as best I could. But we had nowadays when people come and thank me for doing what I do, I'm like, no, thank you for trusting me and for sticking with me. Because in the beginning, we had some grass-fed beef that wasn't very good. We had some pork chops that were cut all weird from a farmer. And it just was it was very uneven. So we really had to smooth, but people did trust me, and I served skate wing, and they're like, we've never heard of this before. And I'd tell them, and I'd say, come on, let's have some, and flat iron, hanger steak, bavette. No one knew these steak cuts. They're like, it's perfect. We had so many weird things. One lady told me that I made up the name of fish. She's like, I've never heard of that. You made that up. And it became a running joke. And then I had another man very early on. He and his, they were a four-top and two couples. The men were in like the Tommy Bahama shirts and shorts and black socks, and the women had on who knows what. They came in. Back in the day, we still have antiquated beer laws, so we had to have high gravity beer. We didn't have Budweiser, and it wasn't because we didn't want to. Well, we didn't want to, but so he didn't have Budweiser. We didn't have like a lazy Susan of salad dressings they could choose from. We just had the vinaigrette, and we didn't have like a New York strip steak and baked potato and something else they wanted. But he came up to the line after the dinner and, who's the chef? Which one of you's the chef? And I come like I am so busy, and I like poke around the corner, and he literally points his finger at my face, and he goes, you're going to fail. And I was like, wow, thanks a lot, buddy, you know? And I'm like, and he clearly came, and I'm like, I don't know how he got here. I don't know why he came here. He should have been clearly somewhere else. But I was, wow. Yeah, it was like sobering sometimes. But most of the people played along, and they're like, oh, okay, we're going to give this a chance. And so I really tip my hat to those folks in the beginning that came and supported us so feverishly, and then made us better. They made us be better. And I made the farmers be better and the meat producers be better. And now today, my God, we've got world-class food in this town. Bear Creek is growing the best beef. My farmers have the most beautiful produce. It's incredible. So yeah, we've come a long way for sure. But I do value those folks in the beginning that stuck with us and went through. Yeah. Like we had a woman order the flatiron, and she was convinced it was a fish, and I'm like, no, that's a steak. It's flat iron, and it's a steak. So there was a lot of that in the beginning, but we got there.
What do you think of food on TV? Has it changed people's expectations? Has it made them unrealistic or snobby or
all those things? Yeah, I think. Well, when I was at F. Scott's, I had a lot of, the Food Network had come about, and chefs were really starting to climb the ladder of like fame and fortune and become celebrities. So I would get all these people that wanted to apply for a job and be a chef and go bam and, do all the things. And I'm like, this isn't really a glamorous job. It's not TV. And I would have to tell them, like, see all those mats on the floor? You have to pick all those up at the end of the night. They're heavy. And then you have to wash the floor. And you see that 20 pounds of shrimp, that has to be peeled. And those fava beans have to be peeled. And I'm like, there's a lot of really boring, work that goes into this sometimes. And so I would try to paint the worst impression of working in a kitchen. And then if they still wanted the job, I was like, okay.
Initiation a little bit.
Yeah, well, you just have to tell them up front because what they see on TV is not real. Right. It's not how it works. I think it's, I don't love influencers as much as they might help a place. It just seems shady because a lot of them want their meals for free. And I'm like, no one gets a free meal here but me. But yeah, I mean, it does give you...
And they might visit once.
Mm-hmm. But it does give you an audience of people. Yeah. And I do like that. And I like the people that watch the things that I like. Like, I was the Chef's Table, Vivian Howard, Chef's Life. And the Chef's Table was also great. But there are some good things on TV that are wonderful about food.
I was going to ask you, best TV and or movie about food?
Oh, man, there's too many.
I know.
Gosh, what do I say? Babette's Feast, Big Night.
Big Night.
And then there's, what was the other question?
Oh,
TV.
Show. Do you like The Bear?
I was just telling somebody about The Bear the other night. It reminds me, it came out right around COVID, and it reminds me of the panic that when that ticket machine goes off, regular people have no idea what kind of PTSD that, it's like, so some of my people were like, I can't watch it. It's too stressful.
Yeah.
And I was like, it is spot on stressful. But I only watched the first season. Now I don't know. I don't know what happened.
There's a few weird episodes, but still, you always come back to being so hungry. It's midnight.
Oh, Heartburn is another one of my faves. Yeah. Which is not really a food movie, but there's a lot of food in there.
So what do you hope the historians say about Margot Cafe and Bar when the story is written?
Golly, wow. Well, I mean, I hope they say that it was great, that, we provided exactly what we said we wanted to, which is wonderful food in a very comfortable atmosphere with, very hospitable service. And that we were a pioneer, that we were the GOAT. There were plenty of restaurants, like people always, there were no restaurants until you. And I'm like, no, there was Faison's, and there was Sunset, and there was There were other restaurants here that were very good. Third Coast, I loved
Cakewalk.
Third Coast. Cakewalk, the Boundary. I mean,
Yeah, Boundary.
we had our spots. We didn't have a ton of spots because we didn't have a ton of people. And now, and what happened in 2015, 17, people started coming in and try to cannibalize Nashville all over from outside. And then there were too many restaurants and not enough people. So they were like, oh, we need more people. And we got more people, and it just kept more restaurants. And I just don't know how feasible it is to have a gazillion restaurants. And I'm kind of a purist. I think if you're in New York, you stay in New York. You stay there and be a restaurant in New York. I'm in Nashville. I used to get people in the first 2, 3, 4 years of being open. Hey, do you want to do a place over in West Nashville? And I'm like, no, I don't, because East Nashville defines who we are. Mm-hmm. And so I think New York defines who people are, and Vegas is kind of a land of make-believe, but California, Chicago, the terroir means something.
Yeah.
And when you move that, I don't know what it means after that. It's like a diluted version. It's not real. It's like, it's kind of like our Parthenon. It's a nice replication, but it's not the Parthenon. It'd be like us having a Eiffel Tower. Well, no, it's not the real Eiffel Tower. So that's the real Margot, and something over here in West Nashville wouldn't be the real thing.
Are you still a PB&J sandwich girl?
Yep, a lot of nights you come home and you just have to have peanut butter and jelly for dinner at midnight or before you walk out of the door.
Says the most famous chef in Nashville.
Hey, nothing wrong with a little peanut butter and jelly. It's good stuff.
Banner & Company is a production of the New Nashville Banner. This episode is produced by Steve Harouche and edited by me. The original music is by Verlin Thompson. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts or go to NashvilleBanner.com. You're in good company. Our last question is in the fishbowl.
Oh, gosh.
I know.
I don't have my glasses on. What does it say?
We should have a little thing of readers there, too. Note to self.
From Jordan Ritter, Con.
What is a restaurant in town that you feel like only you know about that other people should go to?
Really? You got a restaurant question?
I did. Well, I would probably say Cafe Rocca out in Hendersonville. He is Syrian descent and makes just incredible food. The best baba ganoush I've ever had in my life. And the guy couldn't be any sweeter. And I think it's those kind of restaurants that I like to support. The mom and pop shop, the ethnic joint that's doing their food, because it's real for them. It's in here, the way that my food is in here. Some people are making food because it's chefy or it's trendy or they think it's but it's not them. It's not personal. These people who cook their food, it's personal for them. And I feel like that's why we're so good, and that's why I like to eat at their places.
And you know what's strange? I'm going to tell you. Jordan wrote a book or an article.
He wrote a book
about Cafe Rocca guy.
the owner.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Okay, that's really funny because
That's telepathy.
I'm in that book, but I didn't remember him being the author of the book. Yeah, that's crazy.